Still sitting in a truck seat that's older than your favorite pair of work boots? Your back has been filing complaints for years. If your seat is worn out, sagging, or just plain uncomfortable, it's time for an upgrade. Head on over to seatspecialist.com. Check out their selection of quality replacement seats built to keep you comfortable mile after mile. And don't forget to use promo code TR10 4U to save 10% on your order. Seatspecialist.com, because a better ride starts with a better seat.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of That's Delivered. I'm your host, Ray, and today we're diving into the topic that's incredibly important for us out here on the road, taking care of our bodies. I'm thrilled to welcome Dr. J to the show today. And Dr. J is a chiropractor who I personally seen for years. He's helped me tremendously, which you can imagine comes with the territory of being a truck driver. Today, we're going to explore the journey into chiropractic care and also his advice for staying healthy on the road, and also a powerful story from 2020 that really stuck with me. Dr. J, welcome to the show. How you doing?
Thanks for having me.
Awesome. Just to get things started, Dr. J, we'll start from the beginning. Just to kind of get to know you a little bit more. What's got you interested in chiropractic care?
I don't know, at a young age, I always liked working with people and just interacting and just taking care of people, actually. So my mom had a healthcare background, and I saw what she did for people, and that kind of interested me. My dad was very different. He was more into the business side, and it's just like I kind of tended to do more what my mom did. So kind of started that way when I was in school, and then when I got to college, I did sports medicine. So I did athletic training, sports medicine. So I helped athletes recover from injuries, rehab them from knee surgeries and, all sorts of injuries to get them back to competition. And I really enjoyed that. So I thought, well, I want to keep this going, but I really didn't like the hours of being a athletic trainer because it's a lot of nights and weekends. So I'm just like, what else can I do? So considered med school, and I looked at chiropractic. I did some shadowing of the two different things, and I really liked the idea of being a chiropractor because, one, all these people I talked to were their own bosses. They didn't have to deal with somebody else telling them what to do, and they were helping a lot of people. And I really like those two aspects of being my own boss and being able to help as many people as possible. And that's kind of how it came to be.
Man, that's fascinating. When you hear about those stories of, how people started their career, you have a lot of facets that you have to go off of. I mean, is there any particular story in the early part of your career when working with athletes or in the sports medicine that you could recall?
One is when in school working on my degree, we had to do a rehab project with an athlete. So I worked with all different sorts of athletes, from football players to volleyball. But one of my favorites I worked with was a gymnast who blew out her knee. She blew out her ACL, and I was there day one from when she had the injury. I assessed her right there in the athletic training room. After doing all my evaluations, I kind of had a high suspicion that she tore her ACL. So we sent her up referred her for an MRI, came back positive. Yeah, ACL was gone. So the cool thing is we worked with back then the doctors at TRIA here in the Twin Cities. And the team doctor came down and said, okay, this is what we got to do. We got to schedule surgery. A few weeks later, that's probably about a month later, she was scheduled for surgery. So in the meantime, we had to do pre-therapy, which meant getting her leg built up as strong as possible before surgery, because after surgery, the muscles go through a period of atrophy. So it was really cool that I started with day one with her from the day that she was injured all the way through to her pre-rehab to post-surgery rehab as well. And we got her back to competing within 5 months. She was back to competing in gymnastics. So that one really stuck with me, just being with that person from day one all the way through to back to competition. So that was one of my most favorite ones that I worked with.
Wow, man. So that it's like a journey to help
Yes,
them get
exactly.
back to where they need to go. Wow.
Exactly. And then the highs and lows, like the sadness of I'm going to lose my season, to hey, let's look at the next season. So she hurt her knee early in the fall, and she was competing again by late spring. So it was quite amazing to get her to that next season. She missed part of that one season, but then was able to get back to the next. So it was fantastic.
What was your experience like starting out when you to get to that point?
In chiropractic.
Yeah.
Through all my training, we did, we do internships and externships. So you worked, in clinical settings. So I had a lot of, formal education. But then when I was all done and graduated, passed all my boards, it was like, well, go to work for somebody else or do my own thing. And I was always been like, well, I don't want to work for somebody else. So I started my own thing. And I happened to do my last internship out in San Diego. And I said, you know what, I like it out here. I'm going to stay. So a buddy of mine who was also at the same program as me, we said, like, let's do an office share. Let's figure it out. So we both set up our first practices out in Pacific Beach in San Diego. And so it was nerve wracking. I was broke, living, probably above my means out in California, but just trying to get through and trying to figure out, like, okay, I got to pay student loans coming up. I got to eat. I got to drive a car, and now I got to get a practice going. So that was a little nerve wracking, and like I knew I had the knowledge, but I didn't have the experience yet. So that was also kind of the part of like, okay, I got to get better at my craft and my skill to help people. So that was probably the most nerve wracking thing, is like, having, not much for means to get a practice going, and then, minimal experience. A lot of people saw me that just like, well, how old are you? Like, are you old enough to be a doctor? And like, so I had to overcome that. But once I got going, things got a little bit better, but it was very difficult those first couple of years to kind of really get that practice going.
Wow, man, that's a lot. You could go out there and San Diego, man, that's a whole different world.
Yes. Yep.
Not
Very
everybody makes
competitive.
that. Yeah, not everybody makes that
On
leap.
every corner.
Really? Wow. Man, so what made you stand out? What helped brought people in?
I just really relied on my sports medicine background. A lot of active people in Southern California, which is great. I mean, they're very concerned about their health, so they were very open to coming in and getting their spines checked, and if they had any sort of injury, whether it be like golfing or running or whatever, surfers, whatever they like to do, like they kind of saw my background, and that kind of helped me stand out a little bit versus it's like, I'm just, I'm a chiropractor that takes care of the spine. I addressed the entire body. So my first practice was, really focused on everything from head to toe. And I did a lot more of like I said, the sports injury aspect. And that kind of helped me stand out a bit more than the guy around the corner who just did spinal adjustments.
Wow. So you've been practicing for a while. How long has it been?
So I opened up my first practice in Pacific Beach, and it was March of 2004. So it's been 20 years since I opened my first practice.
Hey, congratulations. Wow.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's the same year my wife and I got married. So that's
right on.
that's a cool year.
Yeah, 20 full years. Congrats to you.
Yeah, thanks, man. Yeah. I got to keep working on my skill too.
Always, right?
Oh man. So there's been some motivation, there's passion that goes into all that work over the years. Is there something about chiropractic care that continues to inspire you?
Just, every day it's something new, right? It could be, a young kid that came in with something and like, that's fun. You're this kid's first experience with chiropractic. And it could be that 90-year-old person that's just been in chronic pain for a long time, and they decide, I've tried this, and they come to see you. So like the different challenges every day that walk through my door, it's every day is a little bit different. There's not one day that's exactly the same as the last. So that keeps me going too. It's just like, it's a lot of new challenges, and always trying to stay on top of new procedures, new techniques, new therapies, that sort of stuff. So it's never a dull moment is what I say.
Yeah. Is there a new technique that's on the horizon?
It's always ever evolving. Like there's a lot of therapies, like, the traction has become really big again, and it was big a long time ago. So like these traction tables are huge. And just, cold laser therapy was, probably about 10 years ago, kind of started getting big, and now it's kind of goes up and down. Dry needling is big in the last couple of years, which kind of like acupuncture, but a little bit different for what they're trying to do to the soft tissue. So, I mean, lots of new different things. And I don't employ all of them at my office because it would take, a big staff, and I'm a very small office, but there's always new things. So I'm always looking to see like what would fit best for my practice and the people that I treat. So a lot of my extra education comes in, working with like still more injury rehab, working with extremities, foot, knee, ankle conditions. I see a lot of people with foot issues like plantar fasciitis, neuromas, neuropathies, things like that, just trying to help them function better and be able to have them do what they want to do every day, whether it be like just go to work and they can do their job, or like, I want to enjoy my time on my weekends with my kids and be active. So those are the things that I really try to push for, is getting these people back to what they want to do and enjoy.
Man, you make an impression on a lot of lives. That's amazing. And you made an impression on me as well. So
Good.
I appreciate it. And you told me about this one story. I know it's probably a little personal. And if you're willing to share, I know 2020 was pretty stressful for a lot of people, everyone that went through it. I remember you sharing a story that really stuck with me during the George Floyd riots.
Mm-hmm.
Um, do you mention how your community came together to protect the neighborhood? Because I want to
Yeah.
create unity, something positive. That story really impressed me. Can you share that story to listeners? Talk a little bit about what the experience was like for you.
Sure. Yeah, sure. So it was summer of 2020, and obviously a lot of social unrest. My house is about a mile from George Floyd Square, where it all went down. So there was a lot of people in our neighborhoods that were upset and angry, and rightfully so, and a lot of people that were just scared. You have this group of people that are meant to protect, and also you see that they're not doing their job. So there's just a lot of confusion, and on top of it, a pandemic that was added out a lot of restrictions, curfews. People are stressed to the gills, right? Like, people aren't working, businesses are closed. So it's just a lot of things going on at once. It's basically like a powder keg ready to explode, right? And being so close to where everything happened, transpired, it just added to that pressure and that feeling. So I remember one morning we woke up and I'm like, what is this like? It looked like it had kind of snowed in my front yard, and it was June, right? And there's ashes from the fires, the police stations that burned nearby. So that was like, wow, this is how it's going to be. And then, later that day, there's helicopters flying over and a curfew. And I still remember one day where this big helicopter flew over our house with a big bucket, and it went over to one of the lakes nearby, scooped up a bunch of water and dumped it on top of a police car that was set on fire. So needless to say, families were stressed, scared. But being in a neighborhood that I was, we knew a lot of our neighbors. We got to know a lot more. In a time of social distancing, people really came together, which is really cool. So we were all worried about our homes, our safety. So we started text threads. We did like little patrols around the neighborhood. And then across the street from where I live, there's a neighbors' homes, and then behind them there's a row of like small businesses, like restaurants and shops, and a lot of places that were being targeted were businesses. So we saw like people are coming in, boarding up windows, that sort of stuff, and then just talking to different community leaders. There's like, well, but people want to start fires, so there's like try to keep any debris, like if you have like wood or lumber or branches, like clean them up, get them out of your yard, get them out of your driveway, that sort of stuff. So us being behind these businesses, and especially our neighbors across the street, we're like, we want to protect you guys. So we padlocked dumpsters together so people couldn't move them, because a lot of places they were moving dumpsters to block entrances for fire departments, so they couldn't get in and put out fires. So we were chaining those things up to buildings. They couldn't start on fire. We were one place is a restaurant that had a big grease like dumpster, basically. So we filled that with water so they couldn't light that on fire. And we did a lot of preparation. And the really eerie thing was we saw a lot of people in our neighborhood that we had never seen before. And they weren't local. They weren't there to protest. They were there just to cause trouble, to be honest with you. So we were very aware of the people that were coming in and out of the neighborhood. And it was just one of those things to let them know that we see you. We see that, you probably shouldn't be here. You're probably up to no good. And we're going to let you know that we don't want you here. So we just said, we kept eyes on them and made sure that, things were as safe as we could. Fortunately, our neighborhood came out rather unscathed. Some broken windows in the businesses, some the police, unfortunately, the police stations and the post office down the road didn't do so well. But yeah, just a lot of craziness. So in my little bubble of my neighborhood, we did okay, but in the grand scheme, our city really suffered, and we're still recovering from it, to be honest with you. And there's still a lot of like distrust amongst neighbors when it comes to like law enforcement and like people who are supposed to be taking care of us. But hopefully, as time moves on, we heal and we keep coming together as a community to like move forward and do better.
And it sounds like that was a projection of what you do every day. When you want people to heal, you want people to get better, you put in all that work, that physical exercise that you had to do with all the water and moving things around, and also the communication. I mean, that was like the height of a lot of your skill set. And you put that together with your neighborhood, man. That was amazing.
That's funny. I never thought of that, Ray, until you just said that. So that's a really good connection. So yeah, and it was like, and I was just one person. Like we had outstanding neighbors all around, and it was, you're always looking for, leaders, but at some point it's just a matter of like everybody chipping in, doing what they can. And that's really what happened. Like everybody came together, did what they could, and, we all became better for it.
Nice. I mean, that was a great example that really stuck with me for that, for that purpose too, because you didn't wait for someone to give direction. You guys took that matter in your hands and you made the best of it. And that's what we're trying to do even today. I mean, going to the chiropractor, going to people are getting therapy, they're trying to get their mind right, get their body right.
Mm-hmm.
That was a lot of physical exertion. Man, did you suffer from that too? You needed chiropractic?
Well, yeah, I would go to the chiropractor too, but it's like, I think it was mostly just that mentally draining of like, I was trying to think of like, what else do we need to do? What can we do to protect ourselves and that? So, but yeah, it was, looking back, I guess like, yeah, it was pretty physical too.
Yeah, a lot of stress on the body, a lot of stress on the mind.
For sure.
Wow.
I think we all aged a few extra years that summer.
Yep, for sure. I got a lot more gray hair after that year. Man. So, man, that's a great story. And I think it turned out well. Like you said, your neighborhood didn't suffer too much from that. And it could be because of the efforts that you guys put in. So, man, what an incredible story. It's also important to hear about in communities when they stick together. I appreciate you sharing that. Let's shift gears a little bit and let's talk about something that's close to the hearts and backs of all truck drivers out there. We spend so many hours on the road, and it can really take a toll on our bodies. For example, we have some experiences where most common truck drivers face when they come to see you. Do you see any common issues or any things that you can pinpoint that maybe help them?
Yeah, and it ranges. A lot of it is back issues, neck issues from prolonged driving those big rigs, sitting in that seat for several hours a day, taking, even with good truck seats, the vibration and the inactivity. Like I know trucking is physical, but you're still sitting in this one position for a long period of time. And the best thing is when you guys are able to get out of your trucks and move. I know depending on what that person's delivering and what they do, sometimes they just drop a trailer, sometimes they're physically unloading the trailer, and that can also be a new type of stress. But the biggest thing I see for especially a lot of the over the road truckers, even it's like day haulers, it's like they're just sitting for so long and they get these conditions where the muscles want to shorten in those positions and stay that way because they're used to that shortened position because they're sitting for so long. So we see a lot of like back stiffness, back pain, sometimes the pain that's starting to radiate down the legs, known as sciatica, neck and shoulder issues from turning that wheel. And I know most of the trucks now are going to automatic, which has probably helped with like the clutching and the shifting of like the repetitive of the arm. But it's just the biggest thing is the lack of mobility of a lot of your big body parts, your legs and your core and everything. So it takes its toll. If we're sitting for long periods of time, it's not an optimal position for our spine and our joints to be in, because like I said, one area the muscles want to shorten, the other areas have to lengthen, and then they want to stay that way. So what we need to do is combat that by lengthening those shortened muscles, moving those joints, getting those gross motions done, the shoulders, the elbows, the hips, the knees. And then one of the best ways to do it is just get up and move, which I know is hard when you're required to get to A to B in a certain amount of time and then back to A again. So when the biggest thing for a truck driver is when they are not in that seat, to get up and move. I know people are physically exhausted, but even adding 15 minutes a day of just mental light activity will make a difference to what's going on with your body because of the wear and tear that's going on day in and day out.
Wow. I mean, they put a lot of emphasis on stretching and coming up with a routine as a part of maybe the pre-trip with the truck, but also for our bodies to get it ready for that sedentary life. That's you're going to be sitting. So use that time to stretch your muscles. I mean, every time I see it, I want to straighten my posture. That's posture is amazing because when you set that chair, you want to be comfortable, but you don't want to be slouched over or
Correct.
too stiff. I mean, maybe
change
it up.
And our natural thing is like we don't tend to stay in one spot. So we get in that chair, we feel comfortable, we're upright, we have good posture over time. Here I am sitting talking to you. I can feel myself creeping forward in my chair little by little because our bodies don't want to be in this stagnant position. It wants to move. Our body craves motion, right? We need to move. We're not buildings and structures that just need to be straight and immobile. We are dynamic beings. So our bodies want to move. So we slowly start to creep forward. We slouch, and also we get used to these postures. And then, like I said, we have this areas of muscle shortening, muscle lengthening, and we create imbalance. And that's where we start to lead to these problems because imbalance leads to abnormal movement patterns of our body. And then it starts to wear and tear our joints, our shoulders, our spine, our hips in not a good way. And then, every day of doing this, that joint starts to wear down more and more. And also we start talking to our doctors, and our doctor's like, well, you have arthritis in this area and this area. And next thing you know, we're talking about, oh, we should probably replace that joint. So my goal for all my patients is like, hey, our bodies are going to break down, but we want to keep our bodies feeling as good for as long as possible. Avoid these big interventions like, injections, surgeries, joint replacements to be able to live our lives and feel good for as long as possible. So again, going back to the truck driving, it's going to be a lot of extra work once you're out of the truck to take care of yourself. And it's good things too. It's nothing like I have to go to the gym every day. It's things that you can do on your own at home. Not downplaying the gym. Gym is very important as well, but just if you can add it to your daily routine of like, hey, I'm going to eat lunch every day at this time. Like, well, we need to also, when we're taking our break, we're going to get up, we're going to walk around, we're going to do a few stretches, and then we're going to get back to work. If we can do these things to kind of help maintain through the day, we're just going to do better over a longer period of time. I mean, it's inevitable at some point, our bodies are going to start feeling the effects of all this abuse we do to it, but we can improve it by doing these little things throughout the day.
Yeah, it's crazy. I'll sit next to another truck driver and you kind of look over, glance out the window, and you see their head down and they're on the phone. So, they're not moving again, but I know they want to mentally escape to some place where there's less stress. But you're sitting there on your break, hunched over.
Mm-hmm.
It's not helping.
No.
Yeah.
No, it's not. It's not. And it's one of those where technology is great for certain things. That I'm guilty of it too. I'll also catch myself like, gosh, I'm just looking down and I'm hunching over my phone. I'm like, what am I doing? Like, if I want to be on my phone, let's do a better posture. Then two, like, let's limit our screen time. I mean, we do it with our children. We say, like, you can't watch cartoons all day long every day or be on your iPad. So we also need to do it with ourselves, be present, not just for those around us, but for ourselves. Because when we are present, knowing that like, hey, what I'm doing is going to be detrimental to my body, we're more likely to maybe limit the amount of time that we're doing these things, but I get like, yes, I need a break. I need to escape from doing what I'm doing. My mind needs to do something else, which is good. Set a time, but also set a time to like, hey, I need to go out and walk. I'm going to do 3 laps around my truck. maybe do an inspection check, or maybe just like mostly just to stretch those legs and get those joints moving again. So it's the little things that will make the difference for sure.
Yeah. I know some drivers, they try to power through. Let's say they go for a long drive out of state and come back. Maybe it's just a neighboring state, and they don't take that time to just get out and look around the truck, because that also not just for the truck, but that's good for your body.
Yes.
Take some time to drink and get hydrated, because then you're consuming water, but you don't want to consume too much where you have to get out every 5 minutes, but you got to find that balance, man. That's a little tricky.
Totally.
Yeah. So, hydration is huge. How important is hydration for truck
Oh, I
drivers?
mean, our bodies depend on water for all functions, right? If our muscles are dehydrated, they're going to shorten. And you're already putting some muscles in a shortened position due to your posture and your seated position. So very important for the muscles to have water. Also, your nervous system and your joints. If there's not enough water in your body, things become dehydrated, and it's more wear and tear on your joints. Your joints need lubrication, kind of like the oil can for the Tin Man, to keep things moving properly. When they don't have that proper lubrication for movement, it's going to wear down quicker, and then we start creating chronic problems. And again, we go down that road of like, okay, now I'm taking ibuprofen every day because my hip hurts or my shoulder hurts, and then that keeps getting. That deals with the pain for a temporary time. And then something more invasive, maybe it's a cortisone injection. And also, again, we start talking, oh, this joint's not looking so good. We got to think about replacing it. And these are things that when you were younger, truckers that are in their 20s and 30s, like they maybe feel the effects, but they recover quicker because of their age. But if you're going to do this job for a longer period of time, it's going to take its toll. And those are the people that also, when I see this, they're just like, I wish I would have started doing something sooner. And it's, that hindsight that we have as we age, our vision becomes kind of 2020 looking in a rearview mirror of what we should have done versus like when we're in the moment, think about, okay, what's going to be good for me now so I can keep doing this for another 5 years, 10 years, whatever.
Wow, man, that's really, really good insight, and it's very valuable information that you're giving, man. I appreciate that.
Mhm.
But think about you feeling a little pain, you want to get professional help. What are some
Mhm.
signs to look out for to indicate it's time to see a chiropractor?
Well, one thing I would say is like for the type of work that you guys do, you should all at least get checked out, see if there's any problem areas. Most people, the first thing that drives them into my office, it is pain. And the thing is, like, when pain arrives, there's already something else that's already been going on for some period of time before that pain symptom actually kicks in. So the pain is what drives people in. And typically we are really good at getting people out of pain. The problem lies then is like, as soon as that pain kind of goes away, they're like, I must be better. And then they kind of discontinue what they should be doing. They go back to their normal routines, and then also becomes a part of the pattern. It's just like, well, you didn't really fix me up, doc. I'm having this pain again. It's like, well, are you doing your stretches? Are you exercising? Are you drinking enough water throughout the day? Well, I'm better than before. And that's good. Better than before is good, but it's not probably enough. So, what I always recommend too, once I help people, get them out of that initial phase, which is that acute or pain phase, I'm just like, okay, now we need to figure out things to do to stabilize this condition. Okay, what do you do every day? I sit and drive a truck. Okay, we got to figure out ways to lengthen these shortened muscles. We want to stabilize these muscles by making them stronger. We want to hydrate these muscles by drinking more water. So just approach these things, and then it's like, we got to get these joints moving, more, in a better position. So we got to see the chiropractor, and it's, everybody's different. Every chiropractor is a little bit different. Some chiropractors will be like, oh, you should see me, once a week in perpetuity. And my feeling is, what, let's see you as little as possible, but to have the most benefit there is. And the best way to do that is to put the homework on the patient. If you do these things on your own, you're less likely to need me as much. Every once in a while, your body's going to need a little bit. Maybe it's monthly, maybe it's every other month, maybe it's once a quarter. Everybody, again, is a little different in how their bodies respond to the stress and what they're doing to take care of themselves, outside of the treatment office. So there are things to look at as far as like, okay, are there pre-existing conditions, that sort of stuff. But all in all the truck drivers should get checked, kind of start a baseline, get yourself feeling, moving better. And then from there, you figure out a plan that works best for you. And that's attainable, because some people are going to be like, I can't go see the chiropractor every week. And I get it. You're busy. You're on the road. You got families, but you're going to figure out a time, an amount of time that's going to help you do better in all facets of your life, doing your job, being with your family, doing the activities that you like to do. When your body's feeling good, you're more likely to do all those different things.
Yeah, you make better decisions too.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's the tricky part is if you don't have a chiropractor, some people are very hesitant to have someone work on their body, and they think, I could get hurt. They may not know what they're doing. How do you help people feel at ease of picking a chiropractor? I wish they all could come to you.
Oh, it's kind of like choosing a mechanic, right? Like, who do you trust, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I always tell people, the great thing now, again, we'll go back to our technology. There's reviews, there's, referrals are great from people that have already been to somebody. But at the end of the day, it has to be the chiropractor that's right for you, that makes sense for you with what you want to get out of it with your philosophy. If somebody comes in and says, I only want this one technique done to me, and that's all I want, I'm going to tell them I might not be the right chiropractor for you, because I don't really do that technique. I may think you need this and this and this, but if this is what you want, let's see if we can find somebody else that'll do that for you. Okay. So I'll be upfront with them. It's like, if it's not a good fit, you don't want me as a chiropractor, and I probably don't want you as a patient, because we're not going to get the results that we want. And then we both get frustrated. Right. So, and I always tell people too, is like, you'll know after a matter of a couple of visits with a chiropractor, if like that chiropractor is the right fit for you. Said I'm not for everybody, and everybody's not for me either. So I have, in my field, I know a lot of different chiropractors, and some techniques I like, some I don't. So the ones that I do like, those are the people that I'm going to go see, and the ones that I don't, those are the ones that I'm not going to see. So it's a very personal thing for everybody. Like I said, some people can tolerate or prefer a more aggressive adjustment, and some people want more light force. So it really comes down to preference. But at the end of the day, from let's say light force to a more aggressive force chiropractor, the bottom line is, as long as each of those chiropractors are getting results for that patient, that's all that matters. How we get there is another story. But as long as the results are there, that's the important thing.
So they don't have to worry about getting injured so much, because it's got these horror stories. I know there's quite a few people I work with. They said they went and um, they felt like they got injured. I don't know how they does. I mean, what's the percentage of that happening? Is that something they talk about at seminars for you guys, or
And I don't know how, like, study wise, there's not a lot of medical studies like, okay, this percentage of people get hurt at the chiropractor. It's very low, I can tell you that much. And a lot of times too, when people start with a chiropractor, there's a period of like where the body's going to feel a little bit worse. I always tell newer patients, like, the first time you come see me, especially if you're coming with an injury, you're probably going to feel a little worse the first one or two visits, because I'm making these changes to your body, and your muscle system, your neurological system is going to resist it. And it's going to create more inflammation for, a period of time. So we combat that with some, ice packs, some home stretches, things to do to help them feel better. But typically after one or two visits, we're done with that phase, and we move to the next, to where things are just feeling better after each treatment. But again, just like mechanics, just like truck drivers, there's great ones, there's good ones, there's average ones, and there's some that just aren't that great, and sometimes you end up with one that's not great, and you have a bad experience.
Yeah, and that's too bad, because you're going there to feel better. I guess you just have to kind of take that risk to get that gain.
Yeah,
So,
and I would say, and I wouldn't look at it as a risk. It's like most, if you open up your Google and you went down lists, out of those chiropractors, you're going to find 95 out of 100 are going to be great. There's maybe those 5 that just aren't. And again, it might just be that their technique that they use is not right for you. So it's not that they're a bad chiropractor. It's just the technique that they use is not great. So then it's time to find somebody else that will work better for you.
Yeah, ask your friends, ask people that you know.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
They're getting good results too. Don't just go to somebody and then you find out that, oh, they just got their license. I know they got to learn too, but if you're weary, if you're afraid, go with some good reviews and lean
Totally.
toward those that have taken care of someone that's
Yeah, and
good
that's
advice.
always huge, right? Like I like to hire if it's like somebody needs to do like I need to get new siding on my house. I'm gonna ask my neighbors like, who did you use? And a lot of times I'll follow through with they're like, oh, this guy was great, or like don't hire this guy. And like more people will talk about the bad the bad experiences than the good. But if you find like, hey, once you have that experience with that person, you'll know within a matter of a visit or two if it's for you or not.
Thanks for speaking on that. Because
Yeah.
I tell people I go to see a chiropractor and they go, "Whoa, be careful." I'm like, "What? I got Dr. J."
Of course.
Yeah, yeah, they don't know. Yeah, you gotta try it, and hopefully you get the results you need for your experience. I mean, that's very valuable information you're giving us, giving a lot of people something to think about. I think your story and your advice is going to help a lot of people out there on the road. I'm grateful for all the years you've given me. I
Right.
mean, man, going out there with that truck and lifting 80,000 pounds of Coca-Cola, that took a toll on my body. So I didn't do it that long, but you probably see a difference in me because I did change my job to do
Mm-hmm.
something
For
that
sure.
wasn't much lifting. Could you see a difference in me when I changed types of career based inside of the trucking field?
The amount of time or I should say, the frequency that you need to come see me definitely went down
Yeah.
because instead of like killing your body every day, now it's that kind of like that chronic, sustained, over the road trucking type stuff that still takes its toll.
Yeah.
But you're able to exercise, walk, stretch to take care of yourself, and then you come see me less frequently than before because you're not lifting, like you said, 80,000 pounds every day.
Something silly like that, man.
Yeah.
But I do get stuck in that moment where, I wait for something to not feel comfortable and that I should come more on a regular basis. I do know
Yes, and
that
that's
I got to try
you.
to do better with that. I get stuck in
Yeah.
that whole, all right, I'm feeling pretty good right now.
Yeah. No, Ray, you're just like everybody else. Like, so you're feeling good. You think about it. You don't think about it, right? So
Yeah, yeah,
a lot of my patients, no matter what they do, like when they say, like, I want to make sure that I don't have to go through this, acute phase, this flare-up phase again. I'm like, well, let's just put you on the books. Let's figure out, is it once every 4 weeks? Is it once every 6, 8 weeks? And then we put it on the schedule. And that way it's there. And then if they're like, I'm feeling good, they call me, they text me, and we bump it back a week or 2 weeks or a month sometimes. And other ones will be like, you know what, I want to come a little bit sooner. Let's move you up. So the thing is, like, at least when there's an appointment there, it's in their mind, it's in my mind. We don't lose track of these things.
nice, nice, very good. Scheduling is important. Yeah. So let's kind of wrap it up. I know you got a busy day ahead of you, and you're going to have great patients come in looking for your care. I really appreciate you putting the word out there because also too, you're spreading that joy, you're spreading that knowledge to people so that they could take care of themselves as well, even if they're not coming to see you. So
Right.
yeah,
Yep.
thank you
Yeah.
so
You
much.
don't see me, see somebody else for sure.
Right. Yeah. Well, so to everyone that's listening, thanks for tuning in to another episode of That's Delivered. And remember, your health is just as important as the cargo you're hauling. So take care of yourselves out there. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with your fellow drivers. Until next time, let's keep those wheels turning and stay safe on the road. All right. Thanks, Dr. J. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Ray.
Yeah.
Are you a trucker looking for a safe and reliable place to park? Look no further than Truck Parking Club. With locations across the country, we've got the perfect spot waiting for you, whether it's daily or long-term parking. And right now, use promo code DELIVERED at checkout for an exclusive discount. Reserve your spot today at truckparkingclub.com and drive stress-free, knowing your parking is covered.